Well, business leaders and politicians from across the world are assembling in the Swiss resort town of Davos to discuss the future of the global economy. An estimated 3,000 political and business figures, including 65 government leaders, are attending the four-day World Economic Forum summit. The summit in the snow-capped resort city is happening at a time when the global economy is facing unprecedented challenges. Global financial institutions have warned of rising recession and slowdown. The two largest economies, US and China, are engaged in a bitter trade war, and major economies are facing political headwinds of rising nationalism and protectionism. China, which had generated nearly a third of the global growth in the past decade, has had its slowest growth in 28 years in 2018, and as a fallout of the US tariff war as well as the weakening domestic demand. However, India remains the only exception. The country remains the world's fastest growing major economy. India is projected to clock a 7.5% GDP growth rate over the next 2 years. Combined with the young and aspirational demographic base, India is expected to become the third largest consumer economy by 2025. Now, a delegation of over 100 business and political leaders from India, including the Commerce Minister Suresh Prabhu, are attending the summit. The summit has had, however, some setbacks already. Donald Trump, the leader of the world's largest economy, has cancelled his own and the US delegation's visit in view of the face-off with Democrats over that border wall and the unprecedented US government shutdown. The UK Prime Minister Theresa May, battling Brexit, has also skipped, as well as the Russian President Vladimir Putin, the French President Emmanuel Macron, and the Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi, who are also absent. China will be represented not by Xi Jinping but by the Vice President. Though top leaders are absent, some activist groups are hoping that the showpiece event would address real issues facing the world. The development charity group Oxfam has come out with a report that says that the rich-poor gap has widened sharply in 2018. The report points out that the world's top 26 billionaires have assets equivalent to 3.8 billion at the bottom half of the population, while the fortune of billionaires rose by $2.5 billion a day. The poorest half of the world's population saw their wealth decline by 11% in 2018. In India, the fastest growing major economy, 1% of the country's rich got richer by 39%. Imagine that, as against just 3% increase of wealth for the bottom population. The rising inequality remains a big worry, and activists are hoping that this would get discussed at the annual summit.
So we're seeing some progress, but not enough. So we're here in Davos, I'm here in Davos, to call on governments to wake up and take up their responsibility and tax fairly, tax wealth, and put money in the public services that people need. Last year alone, we saw billionaire wealth increase by $2.5 billion every day, while the wealth of the bottom half of humanity, $3.8 billion, was dropping by $500 million a day. This is a trend. It just doesn't happen. It hasn't happened just once.
And well, WION Sumit Chaturvedi is in Davos, bringing us the latest about the summit.
The World Economic Forum is all set to kick off in Davos from tomorrow. This time, though, Donald Trump, the president of US, is absent. Also, Theresa May, UK's Prime Minister, is also absent. But other world leaders are here. The big corporates are still here. India and global, they all will participate. Indian contingent will include Anand Mahindra of Mahindra Group, Pawan Munjal of Hero Group, Mukesh Ambani and his children, also Uday Kotak of Kotak Mahindra. The global contingent will include Bill Gates, Dara of Uber, and also big names from GE and other big global companies. What they are going to deliberate upon is how to make the world a better place as far as socio-economic conditions are concerned. Also, they are going to deliberate upon issues like global trade wars that has impacted the economies across the world. This is Sumit Chaturvedi signing off from Davos for WION. World is One.
And well, after an action-packed week, all eyes will be on the Prime Minister Theresa May as she returns to Parliament with the revised Brexit plan. The Prime Minister will address the House of Commons, setting out how she intends to proceed with the Brexit withdrawal agreement. She will also table a neutral motion simply saying that the House of Commons has considered her statement, which will be debated and voted upon on the 29th of January. This motion is expected to attract amendments from groups of backbenchers seeking more of a say in the process. Just last week, May's Brexit deal suffered a historic defeat in the British Parliament, after which she survived a no-confidence vote. It is largely a nervous atmosphere in the UK now, as residents are worried about their future after leaving the European Union on the 29th of March. A predominant sentiment among some people is that they want the matter resolved as soon as possible.
I think we're looking a bit ludicrous right now as a nation because we don't know how to sort ourselves out of this problem.
What's your worry about that?
Well, personally, I wanted to remain in the EU, so my worry is the leaving and the economical impact.
We need some confidence back in the country. We need a decision to be made. We just need to do what we voted for, bit out, and then plan from there. And we just, it's affecting everybody's business, everybody's livelihoods, and we just need to do what we voted for. Hard or soft, it doesn't matter. We just need to sort it out.
And while the American Space Agency NASA is set to collaborate with China for moon exploration, now this is part of the efforts to prepare for setting up a human colony on the lunar surface and future missions into deep space. NASA held discussion with China's National Space Administration last month to explore the possibility of observing a signature of the landing plume of their lunar lander Chang'e 4. The tie-up between NASA and the Chinese National Space Administration follows China's successful mission to land a spacecraft on the far side of the moon, the first country to achieve this. NASA is working towards this plan to sustainably return to the moon. NASA says it is critical to collaborate with both commercial and international partners along the way. NASA also hopes that this approach will enable human expansion across the solar system and foster new knowledge and opportunities. And well, it's a spectacle in the sky. A super blood wolf moon appeared during the first total lunar eclipse of the year. Here's how thousands witnessed the supermoon across the world. People of Jerusalem witnessed the partial lunar eclipse. There you have it on your screens there. And the moon gazers were delighted by the super blood wolf moon in Brazil as well, despite cloudy skies which dampened the effect. But the super blood moon did not disappoint the moon gazers in Chile, as the clouds cleared just in time for the celestial snow show there. And more than 1,500 people gathered at an observatory in Los Angeles in the US to watch the eclipse also. And it's called the blood moon because instead of going completely dark during the eclipse, the moon has taken on a coppery red color due to the sunlight traveling through the Earth's dusty atmosphere. It is also called a supermoon because it is a full moon and is especially close to the Earth, according to the annual North American periodical. The wolves used to howl of hunger outside villages in the month of January, which is why it's also called the wolf moon. And like solar eclipses, no eye protection is required to watch the lunar eclipse. The next chance for Americans to see this would be in 2022. And here's an explainer on the phenomenon of a total lunar eclipse.
A lunar eclipse can only take place during a full moon. When the sun, earth and moon are all aligned, our natural satellite can be temporarily deprived of sunlight if it passes through the Earth's shadow. The moon becomes dark and red as the Earth's atmosphere filters and refracts the sun's rays. An eclipse comprises several phases: entry of the moon into the penumbra, the partial outer shadow barely visible to the naked eye, entry of the moon through the umbra, a full dark shadow which is easier to see, totality when the moon is entirely in the Earth's shadow, end of totality when the eclipse becomes partial again, exit from the shadow, and finally exit from the penumbra. A partial eclipse occurs when just part of the moon is shaded. A total eclipse only occurs when the moon is entirely covered by the Earth's shadow and is very rare.